Aboard the mighty airship Windswift, 4 valiant captains of the Order of Astari are tasked with hunting down the madmen who would bring back the Dragon Overlords. These are the adventures of the Windswift. Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Adventures of the Windswift. Now we turn to our Dice of Destiny. And summary today will be done by Con.
Well, in our last episode, we were all deeply involved in our attempts to come to grips with the riddle that is the threat to our organization, specifically various vessels, which some have been destroyed, some apparently are destined to be destroyed, and each of us uncovering our own little bits of the puzzle, whilst Con, for his part, is learning that he's not the greatest pilot he thinks he is, but he will be. He will be.
Absolutely. Absolutely, and that's literally pretty much where we are. We're now sailing south towards the Gam Spire with, in the Great Mountain Range of the Great Kush Mountains, which separates the kingdom or the Empire of Sajet from the kingdom of the Chung in the very far southwest eastern block of Braxia, because of something that Blackston has discovered. What are the 4 of you doing now as a result?
I'm waiting for the boy to wake up.
I, if memory serves, am heading up to go speak with Con to update him on the full details of what Blackston discovered and shared with me. Because I think we only told him that, we only gave him a heading, we didn't actually tell him what we're doing.
Yeah, and for Blackston, he tries to get the room warm with the hearth and trying to stay with Demestra, our onboard oracle, to make it she wasn't feeling so well, so I'm trying to kind of cheer her up, I guess.
It appears to be working, because when you turn back from the self-contained hearth with the room starting to warm up, she is already sitting up in her coffin and sort of starting to shed the furs. I have to inform you that it appears as if the link with Asalan on the Sandorai has been broken. She is either no longer sending out her message, or she is no longer capable of doing so.
Did you hear what she said to me before the link broke?
When I am in my oracle form, I hear nothing that I speak. I understand nothing that I am told.
Alright, because I didn't exactly know the situation, because it seemed that you were involuntarily doing this, at least this time.
It was a specific discharge of mental energy. We are capable of, I don't want to say invading others' minds, but we are capable of increasing our output. It drains us significantly and can be dangerous if applied in the wrong time frame and to the wrong minds. This was an act of a desperate oracle. If I am allowed one request, it would be that we journey towards her as fast as possible.
That is actually where we are heading right now. Although I must admit it is mostly because of the information he gave us. She wasn't much to rest. It looks like she was imprisoned or jailed by someone else, and as the link broke, she was found out that she did that, like she contacted us. So I think she might not be all right.
I hope that she survives long enough for us to rescue her. Oracles are not easy to replace. It takes quite some grooming to find the specific type of mind that can connect with the great link that allows us to communicate in our way. But I trust you.
Member is easily replaced, and we should hurry to try to find out what we can do to support. I agree.
Graham, you're sitting next to the child that you so recently knocked unconscious, and it would appear that the youth has remarkable stamina, as again he starts to stir, and is murmuring things under his breath.
Kind of gently grab the boy's shoulder and shake him a little bit. Come on, please. Hello, wake up. Good morning. Good morning. Wake up.
He looks up and immediately he says, "Erican? I'm sorry, sir. You're not Erican."
No, please keep going. Erican, who is that? Yes.
Erican is the captain of our ship, the Kadandachi.
Oh, poop. That's not good enough.
I'm sorry, sir. I don't really know much more, actually. I only just joined the ship as cabin boy. Oh, is the ship all right?
Nope. It's gone. Your entire vessel exploded into a giant mass. I'm pretty certain everyone is dead. Well, at least what we've found, which we only really found you. It's gone. The ship's gone.
Everyone's dead, sir.
Yes, poof. Look, I don't like beating around the bush. I have high suspicions, which is why we took a couple of things off of your person for investigation. You see, you were given a small, flesh-like bag satchel that also had a list of names. And
yes.
As much as you are here in the medical ward, you're also a suspect.
It was Eric had gave me that bag, and he said that I had to hold on to it, and we got that from the pale men who were trying to destroy the ship, sir. Only I didn't know what was inside of it. I swear I didn't know what was inside of it. And Erican said that the spell would protect me, and that if I was to survive, sir, I was to give that bag to the first set of captains that I found from the order, sir.
Good news. You survived, and you did. We took, but you did. We have that bag now. We also have the list of names. But the pale people, they gave that bag to the captain?
I'm not entirely sure how the captain got it, sir, but we found one of them skulking around near the engine room. Well, it wasn't me who found it, actually, but they found him, and then they managed to capture him, and they found that he was carrying it, sir. Erican gave it to me, and he said he was going to cast some spells on me, just in case something went wrong, and then there was an explosion, sir, and then I don't remember anything else. Well, except for waking up here, sir. Why does my head hurt?
No, you had a pretty nasty fall.
Oh, yes, silly, of course.
Well, at the moment, we believe that those pale people with blue runes, you remember, glowing in their bodies, they used themselves as detonations, and they blew up your ship and your engine.
Why would they do that, sir?
We don't know. They tried doing the same to us.
But they didn't succeed, obviously, sir.
Fantastic observation. But that's enough talk, please. Have some soup. Thank. And I'll be back with the other captains when we can, and we'll continue this little chat when you've had some time to recover.
Should I go to the brig, sir?
No, you can stay here. And besides, there's nowhere for you to go except off the side of the ship. And that's the last resort.
Yes, sir.
Off the gangplank with you, shove.
He very gingerly takes his soup, and as he looks, you start to leave. Mm-hmm. You say you're leaving?
Yeah, like I'm turning back and starting to leave.
All right. As you're walking away, you can hear the first signs of severe sort of huffing and sniffing, and the beginnings of tears and the sadness which has been so delicately delivered upon him.
I'm not a parent.
Diplomatic mastermind, Graham.
I'll
For shame.
look at them and be like, well, sure, everyone else you know and worked with is dead, but you're alive. Isn't that great? Anyway, we'll see you soon. Close the door.
On that note, I'm going to cut away to Mutaro for some happiness. Mutaro, you arrive on the deck. The wind is streaming. Your kabuki mask blows dramatically as the ship now heads towards the south.
My wig, you
Mutaro.
mean? I hope my face isn't flapping in the wind. That would suck.
No, just the hair on the
Okay,
mask.
good.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. That's good. Just before we move on, I want to point out that I will be very disappointed if I come downstairs later on and I ask Graham what happened to the child, and he turns around and says he fell down some stairs. Did he have all these bruises? Yeah, he fell down some stairs. There are no stairs on the Windswift. All right. Yes. So hair blowing in the wind.
Yes.
I dramatically look over at Con and say, "So Con, strap yourselves in, for I have a tale which I will tell you not in poetry, but in dance."
Ah, right. Well, oh, look at that. I've left my tobacco in my office.
Ah, fear not, I brought it with me.
Waffen, the engineer, looks at you. Khan looks over at Mutaro. Alright, let's have the engine on. I better go and turn it off. That's great. I'd love to see your dance sometime, sir. You should do it for the whole crew.
But aren't we flying? Don't we need those engines in the on position?
Oh, they're on. Naxon, take the wheel if you would, please. Check the position of the sun. I believe I have a patient to check on. Do come with me, Mutaru. You can tell me all about it. In words,
excellent.
if you don't mind.
Ah, yes, certainly. Can't dance while we walk, can I? I give him his tobacco, or a box of tobacco.
All right.
It's not his tobacco, it's just literally some tobacco
Not my
nicked.
brand, but thanks.
So, Naxon takes the
Yep.
helm.
Yep.
And,
I will tell.
Steady as
I'll
she
tell
goes,
Con,
Ensign.
I will tell Con that basically what had occurred is Blackston managed to go and speak with the Oracle once more, but this time there was something strange and unusual. There was a, I suppose, garbled message is an appropriate word. I'm not entirely sure, but it came from what appears to be an Oracle in distress from the... which vessel? Do you remember?
the
Sandore.
The Sandore.
Sandore.
And it seemed to be a distress call coming from the Gray Spire Mountain.
On the Gem Spire itself, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A
Yep,
distress
sorry. That
call.
one. Yes. You know what? I'm going to say that Mitaru mispronounces all the names in Braxia. That's just going to happen.
That's just
All
a
right?
thing. That's fine.
It's a thing.
Alright.
So he says we are heading there now because we are the closest vessel. I believe he also sent word, as we discussed, to the other vessel that we were.
Yeah,
There are so many of them.
dwarven vessel, the
The Cadarax. Yes, the Gaiadori. Between you and me, I sympathize. Don't worry. I do.
Okay, excellent. Well, yes, we sent word to them about their possibility of an imposing attack, and Blackston did this, and
Good.
it was
good.
it was them who put us onto the strangeness of the Oracle's distress beacon, and obviously being the closest in the vicinity, it was urgent that we set a course immediately to run to their aid.
Quite right. I shall prepare myself accordingly.
Yes.
All right.
Now you're a... Oh, sorry. One more thing. You're our resident druid. So I would be inclined to ask you that do we have anything aboard that could help us deal with perhaps cold weather? It seems as though that may be something to prepare for as we approach the mountains.
I believe there is the standard sort of high altitude cloaks and such. They probably will do us fairly well in that regard.
The trick about the Gam Spire, of course, is that she is the tallest mountain on Braxia, and as part of the Great Kush Mountains, she is perpetually covered in a gigantic glacier, which pretty much swamps most of that mountain range down in the south. No one lives there, no one would want to live there, it's bitterly cold. It's fairly rough and ready territory. The closest habitation to it is a city known as Dwaslan Borda, which is, well, for lack of a better word, a pirate haven. It's so far away from anybody and everything that it's a law unto its own and is a melting pot of those who go away from everywhere else because everywhere else just wants to execute them. So not a very happy place. Apart from that, you've got maybe 200 miles to the west of that, the border of the Chung Kingdoms, and beyond that is just ocean on the east and south side. And of course,
we'll be able to see your house from there.
Yes, indeed.
Well,
my
perhaps.
province is among the most beautiful in the nation.
As far as wastelands are concerned.
As far as giant wastelands,
Yes.
yeah.
All right, so
Beautiful
for the next four and
It's
a half
beautiful
hours,
in his eyes.
Yes, true.
Well,
true.
yes. In the course of this conversation, I am heading for the medical bay.
All right.
Oh, good. We'll meet.
Yes, everybody meets. Everybody just meets up. Is anyone going to do anything specifically over the next 4 hours as you head south? I know, Con, you want to
Check on that.
I would want to ask up, like, since moving fast is more exhaustive on our resources. How is our fuel tank looking?
The magic units that the engine consumes, you are stocked with it for about 6 months worth of operation, and so Waffen says that there shouldn't be any problem, sir. We can keep running for several weeks yet before we need to put into port and refuel. We should be fine. Chef says he's got plenty of stock too, so you should be alright. Water would be nice to take on fresh, but well,
In the desert, it's a little bit.
that's the thing. We're hoping that when you disembark at the Gam Spire, if everything's just all good and well, we'll be able to pick up fresh water. That nothing better than mountain melt, eh?
In the 4 hours, I will go and speak with Huracan, the chef or the cook, and I will try and arrange to get a sizable barrel and some salt to go in that barrel. When I say a sizable barrel, I mean something large enough to potentially, like a reasonably large cask.
Yes, all right. That's not a problem. They have those on board and salt aplenty. This is a airship. Yes.
Excellent.
You get that sorted out. Graham, are you doing anything specifically over the next couple hours?
Yes, I'd like to accompany Con with the medical board.
right.
Since we're gonna go talk to the boy.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, well, the boy is sitting there. He has overcome his grief, and you can see his cheeks are flushed, his eyes are red, but he also is looking a little bit healthier than when you last saw him, as he has completely consumed a bowl of hurricane stew. He stands to attention the moment that Graham walks into the room.
At ease. Sit down.
He sits down.
I give us a strange look between Graham and the young lad.
Well, I told him
Told him what?
about the
Oh.
ship exploding. He needs to know.
Right. I imagine you handled that with your customary sensitivity. How are you doing, young man?
I'm fine, thank you, sir.
Had enough to eat?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Jolly good. Right, if you get hungry again, let us know. We can feed you. Unfortunately, you're stuck with us at the moment as we're on mission.
I understand,
However,
sir.
you are not a prisoner. All right?
What a suspect.
Just a suspect, sir. Yes, I understand.
A what? A suspect? For what?
What do you mean for what?
Yes, you just said he's a suspect. What for?
Well, he had persons on him, and he had the insurance of the impaled people. It's not like prisoner. I'm just going to keep a close eye on him.
I think the word you're looking for is witness,
Suspect, witness.
perhaps?
They could both be very similar terms.
We do have a legal system, you know.
Con, you know I'm very suspicious, and I need to be
Yes,
sure.
I understand. I understand. Right. Young man, we'll arrange somewhere for you to sleep. You are free to explore the ship. Stay away from the engine room, of course. We don't have a cabin boy, do we? We might have some work for you if that would make you more comfortable.
Oh, yes, please, sir. Anything to take
Good.
my mind off of what's gone.
Very good. Well, as you can see, this place is in a bit of a state. We had some high-speed maneuvers recently. If you could tidy up the medical bay, I would be much appreciative. Graham, if you please, with me.
Absolutely. Just 1 second. I'm gonna walk straight up to the boy and just kind of put a hand underneath the chin and look him straight in the eyes.
Yes.
Don't go into my quarters ever. Don't touch my things.
No, sir. Understood, sir.
Excellent. Give him a little slap on the cheek. Be like, you're gonna be great around here. I just know it. Not like a psh, just like a. Have fun on the Windswift.
He stands patiently, but at attention, for the two of you to leave.
I usher Graham out through the door, and once he's out the door, I turn around and I wave my hand at the boy, and a spray of autumn leaves sort of washes out from my hands and dances around the room for a bit and then vanishes. And then I give him a wink and close the door.
You just gave him a mess to clean up.
The leaves dissipate. It's a magical effect called Druid Craft.
Yes.
It's a cantrip. It's like prestidigitation for wizards.
I'm not used to those things.
Yeah, little tricks to amuse people.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, wait, 1 second. I look directly at Khan and be like, Khan, as much of a witness he is, he's also a suspect. We do not know the capabilities of those pale men and their powers. He could be influenced by any mind magic. Now, I'm not saying he's a prisoner. That's why I say suspect. We just have to be careful.
Of course, it is in our duty to be careful at all times, but at the same time, it is a child. Let us try and remember that.
I was a child once, and I was, well, I never trust a face, never trust age. Don't really...
I put an arm around his shoulder and sort of guide him towards where I think the rest of the crew will be. And I go, one of these days we'll have to get drunk, and you can tell me about this childhood of yours, Graham.
I don't like getting drunk.
All right. The ship sails steadily south for the remainder of the evening, and everything continues fairly shipshape and above board. The usual watches are posted between the crew. The four of you are exempt from any kind of duties during the evening shift. Absolutely. And as the first rays of a very strange light start to permeate through to your windows, waking you up, you can feel the temperature has changed from the oppressive oven-like heat of the desert to a rather fresh and cold one of snow. There is also that scent in the air that speaks to frigid climes, but very, 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 very pure air up here. Yes, looking out, there is the dagger-like teeth of mountain ranges all stabbing up at the sky, desperate to skewer a god as they pass over, but failing to do so. And so instead are just covered in snow as far as the eye can see.
I summon the cabin boy.
In defense mode.
In defense mode. Yu-Gi-Oh puns.
You shout for the cabin boy, and you hear running feet, and then a very polite knock at your door.
Okay, I open the door. You there, lad?
Yes, sir.
You're the fellow we pulled out of the desert, aren't you?
I believe so, sir. Yes.
Excellent. I grab him by the scruff of his, well, not the scruff of his neck, but the collar of his shirt, lift him off the ground, and run to the deck.
Oh, please don't throw me off of the ship, sir. I know that Sir Graham said that he would, but I haven't done it. I didn't blow up the other ship. I really didn't. Please, sir. I don't want to try and fly.
I literally stop at the edge of the ship. At the preferably the forward section of the ship.
Sure. Everyone's watching.
I take a big step and I put him like literally on the top of my shoulders. And I say, "Boy, listen here. My father once told me something. He said, Utaru, you're an idiot. But At least you're a tough idiot. You boy, you feel this weather?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel the cold?
Yes, sir.
Piercing your skin?
Yes, sir.
You are at one of the highest places in the world, boy. Look at it! Look at it!
I mean,
Isn't it magnificent?
this is great.
Yes, sir. It's magnificent, sir.
Did
Remember this-
somebody give him coffee again?
I did.
You have no idea how much Mutaro hates the cold. This is not for the boy. This has nothing to do about the boy. He says, we are about to embark on a dangerous mission across this frigid wasteland. And you will watch from here. But you know what you will do? You will burn this. You will burn the endeavors of every man aboard this Windswift vessel into your mind. Because you have already done what all of us dream to do. And do you know what that is, boy?
No, sir.
You lived to tell the tale. And I'll climb down from the front of the ship and put him down. Now, you cold?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now take that cold and be a man. Or whatever race you are. Off you go.
He's a human. He seems to actually rally under that, and you can see him sort of sticking out what little jaw he has, and sort of standing a little bit more defiantly.
About your work.
Yes,
Standing
yes.
at the wheel and staring open-jawed at the sea.
I'm just like smiling. This is why I love.
Con, it's slippery up the front. I almost fell off.
Yes, I
was
did
really
try to warn
dangerous.
you as you ran off to the. We're on,
Yes.
as you
ill
can see,
fate
we're
is-
here.
Yes. Don't tell the boy. I'm going to go with. I'm going to get better shoes.
The winter gear has been left out in the rec room for us. Help
Yes.
yourself to
Thanks.
a cloak.
Thank you.
The
Jesus.
Gam Spire is a sight to behold. It is nearly 40 miles in length from one side to the other. That juts out from its brethren that encircle it like a very, very, very large fin cutting through these very, very small waters. The Gam Spire stretches almost 3 miles above the surface of the other mountains, which are already at a significant height. And it is ill-advised for any ship to sail over it, simply because of the altitude that you need to get to. Encircling it, though, is snow, different types of weather systems, clouds and things clinging about it, forming different types of attire, if you like, that hang on to it. But even from this magnificent height, you can see that something has changed. The glacier appears that sort of flows around it. Appears to have actually broken off fairly recently, because on the left-hand side there is a large shelf of fresh ice as opposed to the more dense, dirty ice that generally covers most of the glacier. And where that has actually sheared off, you can see it's tumbled and collapsed into valleys and things, but it has exposed the bones of what appears to be an ancient citadel. Towers protrude out from this frozen form, and walls still form a protective barrier. And lying literally with her back broken over one of the walls is the remains of the Sandorai, also a Charger-class ship. But her sails are flapping in the breeze, a death shroud to the remains of this once proud ship, now definitely not capable of flying again. There doesn't appear to be any movement around the ship, though.
All right.
Well, before we get too close, I'll bring us to a stop.
Anyone
We'll
notice something weird about
Use
ship?
the telescopes to get a better look at this before we get any closer.
Good idea.
Blackston, from the message that you heard, would you say that there would possibly be hostiles aboard that vessel or in its vicinity?
It is unclear. If what I assume is correct, which means that the Oracle was or is in the ship, it sounded like there were she was incarcerated there, so I would assume that her prisoners would be there as well, but I do not see any movement. The other thing that I want to point out is that her captain tried to move up the spire and trying to get help, or she said get them out of the valley, whatever that might mean. So if we do not find, we should take a look for any tracks.
Con, would you please give me a nature check?
20.
Ah. The way that the glacier has the way that the glacier has sheared itself open, revealing the citadel at the very base of it. The glacier is probably about a mile high. So what you realize is that there is probably sunlight shining into that citadel for maybe 3 hours in the actual day. The rest of the time, because of the shadows that are being cast by the mountain or by the actual glaciers, the shadows will cast that whole thing into quite a dark space. There's very little light getting all the way down there. Just for everyone's clarity, the 4-hour flight was sufficient time to have a long rest, so any wounds that you might have had have been cleared up. It was 4 hours plus night travel, etc., etc.
Yeah, thank you.
By the looks of things, we're going to have limited daylight down there, so if we're going to go down, I suggest we have a quick
From up here, all of you can give me a perception check, please.
Oh my. Ah, almost dropped my dice.
4.
Ah. I love my
18.
18!
8. 10 minus 2.
Blackston and Griam are looking down and looking at the mountain and the pretty colors and the dark shapes that seem to be moving about inside the glacier, whereas Mutaro and Con are actually looking at the broken ship and the surrounding areas. What you can spot from up here is that there were survivors without a shadow of a doubt. Someone has tried to board up some of the holes that the ship must have sustained. The ship looks as if it had been on fire, and possibly that's why it's gone down. When she crashed into these walls, it ripped open several chunks of her hull, and some of those pieces have been boarded up rather crudely, and snow starting to drift around them and start to obscure them. However, from where they've landed, there are several large archways which lead into the actual citadel structure itself, and even from this height you can see that there is or has been something dragged quite heavy to create quite a deep furrow in the snow towards one of the arches that sits in the north face of the citadel. Other than that, there appears to be no movement whatsoever except for what the wind kicks up.
Definitely were survivors. It looks like they attempted some sort of defenses.
Well, I think the best way that we can approach this is from above. We fly the Windswift directly and lower ourselves down on the skiff, see if we can work our way from the top down to the bottom where we can hopefully approach the ship.
I look at the layout of the castle, the wreck, and the glacier faces. How close can we get her?
So the skiff will definitely be able to get down there. That's not a problem. The skiff is big enough for 4 people to sit in comfortably and lower itself down and land without too much of a problem. The citadel itself, you can almost imagine, looks like an ancient ziggurat type structure, stepped pyramid almost, but each of the steps has got battlements on it. It was designed primarily to defend against, this looks like anyway, aerial attack, because most of the walkways are covered from the air, something that one wouldn't normally do. There don't appear to be many defenses facing outwards. Towers are designed that when they collapse away from the structure, not into the structure. So a very square, yes, something similar to that. Very handy drawing there.
Would we know what that kind of ziggurat is?
Any one of you can give me a history check.
Ooh,
I'm proficient in those.
Not my
That's why I got an
strongest
8.
let me see.
I confess it's not my strongest area of learning.
18!
Well, that's near your hometown, so
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense.
12.
No, I rolled an 18. I got a +1.
Nice. So, this could be, Mutaru, the lost citadel of Felas the Gain. This particular citadel...
No, you go. I'm good.
Legend has it that Felas the Gain was the only independent nation outside of the dragons during their terrible reign, because the dragons simply could not take it. It was designed to defeat the dragons. However, about 1,000 years ago, so 500 years before the dragons were banished to their dark realm, about 1,000 years ago, the dragons somehow devised a way of defeating Felas the Gain, and the entire city and all of its inhabitants, rumored to be known as Ice Elves, vanished without a trace. Since it was such a valuable asset and such a difficulty for the dragons, all records of Felas the Gain were immediately expunged from the history books, except for the tales and fables that are told amongst the stories and songs of your people.
I remember the dance as well. This is the Citadel of Felas Lagaan, the rumored fabled home of the Ice Elves. I believe that it was a citadel designed to fight against dragons during the Age of Dragons. And 1,000 years ago, it fell.
Ice elves?
So I hear.
The
Or at least
pale
the
people.
furthest.
The people with the runes.
Hey, now listen, we don't judge people based on how pale they are.
It
That's
is an
not
interest-
what I'm trying to do. What
an
I'm trying to
interesting
say,
connection,
you
nevertheless.
beautiful buffoon, is that what if those creatures that we saw, they are the Ice Elves? They said they found a way back. They spoke in Elvish. Blackston can retort on that. Yes.
No, what? What is called?
Remember? They were speaking English. They found a way back. So, I don't know if they're actually with the dragons. Maybe those creatures are in opposition with it, and like he just like kind of starts going to like this huge like.
And Mutaru looks at Graham and says, "Graham, you make an excellent point. I am
I turn to the
beautiful."
first mate. Get the skiff ready.
Actually, I have a suggestion. It was
Graham?
It was an air assault, right? I should take
Do
the
you,
gunners.
do you have a suit?
A suit?
Yes, we will go off board
Cold weather
very
up.
soon.
Get your cold weather gear on.
I was
Suit
wondering,
up.
Do you want me to go with you, or do you want me to man the gun so I can shoot from a long range?
I think
Well,
we should stick together.
Maybe we should, I was going to say maybe we should get the other one to no reason, but I think we should probably get the other.
I think the other one should man him as well. His aim was much better the last time. What?
It was simply not my.
Don't put it on the flaps. They were up. I saw it. I was hanging on one.
And listen, if we do put you on the guns, we just need to make sure that you're not aiming directly at the Citadel. We want
at us.
We want to get out alive, you know, rather than having this huge explosion gathering us all up in massive green flame.
I think more to the point that your unique talents are better served with us down there.
I think I get the message loud and clear. Grim just leaves and gets ready to go. Everyone's a critic.
I mean, we went to school together. What do you expect?
Mutaru, that big chest of salt that Mutaru is taking, I'm taking that obviously with us as well. What I'd also like to do is I'd like to take about half a dozen to a dozen extra cold weather gears with us as well.
The ship is equipped that every crew member does have a heavy weather outfit, cold weather type of apparel and things, so yes, you can gather that all together. That takes up quite a significant amount of space, but the skiff will take it, but there's not much more left on the ships.
I was going to say, do you remember the big barrel?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Are you putting it all in the big barrel? I see. Very well. All right. That's not a problem. The skiff is then lowered. Naxun and the first mate, Lieutenant Tai, watch as this little ship slowly lifts and lowers its way down. The skiff, operates differently from the Windswift. She doesn't have an engine on board her. She's literally using magic that's been permanently cast on the hull, so she can raise and lower, and is steered by this rather intricate gem which one of you has to control, and basically controls altitude and pitch, and she moves under sail power, quite literally.
I will smack his finger. Stop it. Khan, you're obviously an experienced pilot. Would you like to pilot the little skiffy?
Yeah.
All right, give me a piloting
Very
check
well.
as you take her down. The glacier presents some rather interesting wind shears, which will buffet and blast the little skiff around.
17.
Oh, but with the steady hand of the navigator taking you down. Where are you landing? So the suggestion was that you land at the top of the ziggurat, which is the furthest away from the fallen Sandori, or are you landing near the Sandora? What are you doing?
You're muted, bro.
Is it possible to land near the Sandori?
Oh, absolutely. She crashed her bow. She broke over the outer Bailey wall. So there's a large open quad space that a snowfield that she's lying in.
What I'll do is I'll bring us in towards that quad, but I'm not going to just land us immediately. I will hesitate for a moment, give us some time to have a good look at it closer before I bring us down properly.
All right. So, slowly moving over the remains of this broken ship, there is definitely signs that there were two fires, not just one, as originally you suspected. There was a fire right near the front of the ship. Could have been quite disastrous if it had been closer to the engine, but it looks as if it's blown out the side of the ship, about 10 foot shy of the engine section itself. Then there's the second one that has obviously transpired, and that is at the back towards the captain's cabins, where the four of you generally stay. The layout of the charges are very similar, so you can assume that. The fires appeared to have burned quite freely for quite some time before being extinguished, and what happened was the one at the back has made its way all the way through to the central mast braces, because the mast plunges obviously all the way through the center of the ship. That has burned through, so that mast obviously then tippled and fell, and that ripped out the side of the ship. It was just a catastrophic failure. And once that happened, obviously engine power was lost, and the runes on the hull no longer able to sustain the power that was required, and she started to come down. The fact that she managed to land here was either the divine intervention or narrative imperative.
Let's go with divine narration.
Other than that,
Well, I still think. Oh, sorry.
still the dredge marks towards the north face. You can see now that you're at the same height. This archway, which is, it's easily 100 foot high and 50 foot wide. There's a large, or was large, oaken doors that used to seal it off. Those have long since been ripped out of their sockets, most likely by glacial action than anything else. Beyond, there is this ancient portcullis, but what little light filters through, you can see the portcullis has been bent and distorted. The tracks lead in there, and it's completely dark beyond that point. There is another entrance, a smaller one, to your left-hand side. If you're looking at that central entranceway, to the left-hand side, smaller. That the door appears to have remained intact, although there is an axe buried in the wood itself. It looks like someone was trying to maybe cut into it or kill it somehow. You're not entirely sure, but they obviously didn't succeed. Then to the right hand side there's another small archway. That door is not there, it's completely missing. There are some tracks that lead there, but then around the base of it the snow has a very strange tint to it. It almost looks like it's not glowing blue, but there's a very vibrant blue color that looks like it's a liquid that's been splashed about near that particular doorway.
That's a good sign.
I think perhaps we should try that door, or that entranceway.
So those 3 entrances are into the ziggurat itself, right?
Correct.
I think we should first check out the ship itself and see if we can find any information, or we get into some godforsaken ruins.
Well, see, I would have. Oh, sorry.
No, that was it. Just wanted
to. Oh, I was going to. Yes, I was going to say that I don't like the idea of guns potentially being aimed at our ship that we really can't do anything against that kind of onslaught from the Citadel. I think securing the batteries might be prudent before we step into the ship.
How many batteries are there? Could we secure them? I mean, we have 4 people.
You mean the batteries on the charger, on the
on the ziggurat?
On the ziggurat itself, there are 2 that present themselves, great big stone things that look like griffins with their mouths open. Those are still protruding from the glacier itself. They haven't worked themselves free, so there shouldn't be too much threat from them.
Oh, okay.
So they cannot swivel, basically.
Those giant stone, they're not even ballista. They're almost like cannons that protected the ziggurat. They're half encased in the glacier at the moment, so they are unlikely to move.
Okay, cool. I'm good to go with the ship then.
I bring us down just about halfway between the ship and the big doors.
All right.
Point the skiff facing away for quick getaway.
I was wondering, is it possible to? You were saying like what kind of like marks exactly? It was definitely an aerial assault on the ship, but did it look like a creature, or can we tell the difference between creature or attack from another ship?
The fire has obliterated any such evidence. The most of it looks as if it came from within rather than from without.
Damn.
All right.
While Graham
like
wonders about this, Braxton's already going towards the ship.
All right.
Yep.
So the 4 of you alight from the skiff, and you start making your way towards the ship. As you're walking forward, the snow crunching underneath your boots, you're aware of just how quiet this space is, just this silence of this glacier. And it's suddenly shattered by this unholy guttural sound as rising from the snow around you are these pale white corpses. They literally look like frozen corpses, but they are moving as if they are completely unfrozen. Their hands end in these rather nasty icicle-like shards, and as they open up their mouths, you can see these sharpened teeth. And we'll see you all next week.
It goes so quickly.
It does indeed. We hope you're enjoying this as much as we are. Stay with us if you want to see us unpack this episode. Otherwise, until next time, thanks for watching, and we'll see you again next week. Okay, so review time. It did take us a little bit of time to get into the ziggurat, but we're here now. So, who are we going to start with? Let's start.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, there we go. We'll start with Simon. Not much happening in this particular episode, really. Just sort of getting from point A to point B. Yeah?
Right. We are experts at getting from point A to point B, so we got that down. Yeah, I think it's interesting for me as a player to see this plot slowly unfolding and kind of shedding layer after layer, so we get a little bit more information after another. On Blackston's side, he is gonna freak out, I guess. Let people watch again.
Yeah.
No. But at this time, it's the first time that he actually has his gear.
Yeah.
That's a plus. So.
Absolutely. Graham, anything from your side this particular episode?
Well, Greem definitely freaked. Greem and I both freaked the hell out when we heard ice elves. I'm like, bam, there it is. Oh, that was crazy. Just hearing them, I'm like, I have to wait till Mutaro tells us, and he's like, Hey, the legend of Icehouse, perfect. All right. It's exciting, but I guess anything from this episode specifically, it was it was a good episode. We got there. Also, again, just love little role play touches. Smacking Mutaro's hand.
Yeah. Mutaro, you wanted to pull a Titanic on the crowd with the young lad there. It was quite surprising.
Oh, yeah, no, I kind of had a thought on that because obviously in the previous episode everyone had a moment where they kind of got to meet and kind of introduce themselves, with the exception of obviously myself and Blackston. And I kind of thought to myself, like, everyone's got their own way of doing things, and obviously in bringing people into the crew, obviously he's been very upset by Graham, who should be ashamed of himself. And so I kind of wanted to treat that little bit there as a moment of pure role play where Mutaro would do exactly what he would do, which is Mutaro, for him, everything is about his story and his heroism and his legend. And for him, the opportunity for a young lad to be able to tell the story of Mutaro, for him, is just a golden moment. And he wanted to have the moment where we are literally, like, in game at the top of the world, where this boy can see the towering man known as Mutaro in his element when he's about to embark on this dramatic quest. For him, this is the kind of moment where, you imagine Granddad telling the story. It's like, yes, he did this for me, Everything about that was I don't know, everything flowed so nicely and so well, and I had to capitalize on it, I guess.
Would you say you had to grab the bull by the horns?
Grab the bull by the horns.
Those are going to be coming on forever.
I've got you guys doing it now too.
It's quite
the one thing that.
Yeah, carry on.
Sorry. Go. Oh, I was going to say, the one thing I was also really, really excited about, particularly for today's game, was we got to roll dice. Yay.
Yes. That doesn't happen often during dialogue sequences, anyway. Not that we need them to do so, but anyway, it was quite strong contrast though to what Graham had done with the young cabin boy, which I personally quite like, because it does sets some tone. So I think we're starting to see lots of personalities starting to come through the different characters. Which is quite good. Con, anything from your side? You were skiffing around and watching Mutaro do his thing.
Why?
We filled the time. Yeah, we filled the time with all these details. The session passes so quickly.
It does.
You stand back as a player and you think, well, did we do enough? But I think we filled enough content to make things live as a story. So for me, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And you raise a good point in terms of timing and that sort of thing. And you go, well, sure, it's taken almost since the exploding of the ship. We've taken 3 episodes to get here. But really, that's not even 3 hours in terms of role playing. So when you're around a table, obviously things, I don't know if they would necessarily move faster, but there's a sense maybe when you end a session after 5 hours of play that there's more that's been accomplished than we get after an hour has flown past already. But the fact that the time is flying, and hopefully it's flying for you as well, that indicates that we're doing something right and everyone's having fun. So wait until we come to the episode of paint drying, and then you will feel what 45 minutes actually feels like.
It's a staring contest between green and paint.
There we go.
Did you ever, when Don tells us the story of grass growing?
Yeah.
Grass doesn't grow around Mutaro.
You see, and it's those stereotypes that keep your people in the Dark Ages. Well, that and the fact that the entire campaign setting is in the Dark Ages. But anyway, so until next time, we wish you all a great week, and we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.